Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Macon Campbell and this is Making Stuff. So today is going to be the first episode in a new series that I'm going to be starting, in which I'm going to revamp and remodel my workshop. I may have mentioned this in previous videos, but the basic idea is going to be to split my workshop into two separate parts. One area which is going to be dedicated to woodworking, metalworking, general tinkering, and the other area is going to be dedicated to working on bicycles as well as storage for those bicycles. So as you can see, there is a little cubicle behind me, which used to be my office before I moved it upstairs. So at the moment I'm just using it for storage basically, and is currently pretty much just dead space. So the idea for this first episode is going to be to break down this wall. I'm going to be keeping that wall over there because I have some plans on how I can utilize that wall space. So for this episode it's mainly just going to be breaking down this wall, removing the carpet that is inside the office. I also have an aircon inside there which I'm going to have to remove, because it's going to serve no purpose. I have a whole lot of electrical and lights over here that I'm going to have to make a plan with. Some of them I'll be removing, some of them I'll just be relocating, perhaps repurposing, but we'll get to all of that in a moment. So before we get started, just something I'd like to mention. Most of you will probably not know that before I started this YouTube channel, I was quite heavily into 3D modeling and 3D graphics in general. I spent a number of years learning an open source 3D software package called Blender, but somehow life and other interests got in the way, and for the last say 3 or 4 years I haven't touched Blender at all. So in an effort to try and regain those skills and that knowledge that I had acquired, I decided that I'm going to model my entire workshop along with all of the furniture and as much of the tools as I possibly can, and I'm going to use that model to make it easier for me to plan out the upgrades that I'm going to make to my workshop. Most of the furniture and stuff that I have in here has all just been slapped together out of scraps that I had laying around and some free stuff that I got from friends which was destined for the scrapyard. And throughout slapping all of this scrap together, I never made any videos for that simply because I wasn't really proud of what it is that I slapped together, and it was just something that I wanted to put together as quick as possible just to have something to work with. So throughout this video series you're going to see a lot of the model that I built for this workshop as well as all the tools, and once I get around to making new furniture and cabinets I will definitely be making models and plans for those before I actually start making them. So there's also a possibility that I might be making those models and those plans available on my website along with any of the models of the tools that I've made so far. All of the models that I've created so far are just low poly models, so it's not something that you're going to want to use as the centerpiece of your scene. But if you're working on a model for your workshop, it's definitely nice to have something to populate your scene. But more on that in the future. For now, let's get into breaking down this wall. So I've never broken down a wall in my life before, but my logic tells me that you can't start it from the bottom, because if you start breaking down the bottom of the wall, there is a great possibility that the rest of the wall could fall down on top of you. So obviously I'm going to start at the top, but before I do that I think it's a good idea to break out the window and the door before I get started on the actual wall. So before I can do any of that I'm going to have to clear out all the junk inside as well as all this junk in front of the wall. So let me get that done first. And so I might have been a little bit harsh when I called this stuff junk. The fact is a lot of the stuff here is pretty special to me. Many of these things are actually video projects that I've done on my channel. Some of my favorites being the mini katana that I made, zombie apocalypse weapon, my axe that I made from a railway bolt, Mikey's nunchucks. So I've never really been quite happy with these things lying here getting full of dust all the time, but I didn't have any other place to display them nicely, and I wanted them in the shot when I did my videos. So I'm going to pack this stuff that means something to me away carefully, and in the future I might make some kind of display case where I can display all of these items. The rest of the stuff, most of it is probably going to go to the trash, but for now it's just got to get out of the way. so it seems like all the wires for my lights and my light switches seem to be coming together at this junction box. Now these lights are mainly here because this used to be my music studio. I'm going to take all of these lights out now because if I add any more lights to this area, I think I'm going to do that at a later stage. To remove these lights, I'm first going to have to disconnect all the wires from this junction box here so that I don't get myself shocked. So let's open this up and have a look at what's inside there. Okay, it looks as if all of the lights and switches that were wired in for my studio seem to be tapped into this line all the way back to the wall socket on the back there. That power seems to be what was powering the garage door that used to be here, which then carries on to the existing garage door that is still on that side. So all I need to do is just take these white wires out and I should be able to remove all of this wiring without any problems. See, both of these wires are split, going straight into the wall to lights on the other side, as well as the extractor fan that I have mounted up here, which is all coming out. So may as well just cut these off. Okay, so it's getting a bit late. We probably won't be able to break this wall down today, but perhaps we can get the window out and get part way through this door and then carry on with the rest of the demolition tomorrow. Before we get started, my son seems to think it's going to be great fun bashing a wall with a hammer, so I'm going to go and call him quickly and he can come and give me a hand.
Thick glass. No, the chisel's there. Let me take it.
Just too simple.
Let me help you. Oh, it's gone finally.
Sheesh. Okay, so far I've been using these little hammers, but I think they're going to take a long time to get through this wall. So I went out this morning and I got this beast. So I think this is going to go through the wall a whole lot quicker. So let me quickly give it a test and then we can jump into some time lapse of this wall coming down. Yeah, well, that works a whole lot better. So let's switch over to time lapse and get this done.
Can I move on this one?
So a bunch of the fissure plugs that were in the wall here were standing proud of the wall and they're pretty impossible to get out. So in order to close up these holes, I just took a bigger drill bit and drilled a bit of them out. So now I have space to fill in with some cement. So that works. Okay, so even though my shop is still quite a mess, I managed to do what I set out to do today. I've broken down the wall, cleared out all the rubble, and I've swept and vacuumed the entire new area. So tomorrow I'm going to have to do some cement work, patching up some of the areas of the wall, all the holes, pretty much everything that needs to be done in preparation for paint, which will come after that. So I'm pretty broken after today. It pretty much feels like I've been hit by a ton of bricks. Clearing out all the rubble using a wheelbarrow with a puncture was definitely not a good idea. But it would have probably taken me more time sorting out the puncture on the wheelbarrow than just pushing on and getting the job done as is. So I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, we're back, and I can definitely feel the hard labor from yesterday. It literally feels like someone ripped my arms off and beat me with them. But hopefully today is going to be a little less labor intensive, so let's get started. Okay, so this is a pre-mixed mortar that I got from the hardware store. I'm just going to mix up a small batch of this so that I can start closing some of the holes just to get used to the consistency and the feel of this mortar. Apparently you just add water. I don't know if I have all the right tools for this job. I've got a bunch of trowels that were lying around here at home, and I manhandled this piece of C-channel into a 90-degree to shape the corner of the wall that I need to plaster after that. So let's do it. Okay, so all the holes are filled, and now for the hard part, which is plastering this corner. I've never done any plastering before, but I think that the mixture of plaster that I have is a little bit too runny, and I don't think I'm going to get that to stick against the wall properly. So I'm going to add some more mortar to this mixture to stiffen it up a bit, and then we'll see how it goes. Well, this is going to be a struggle. It doesn't seem to be sticking to the wall as well as I'd hoped. The only thing I can think of is perhaps I must sprinkle some water onto these dry bricks, and then maybe the mortar will stick to it better. So I'm going to give that a try. That seems to be doing the trick. So let's get a move on. Okay, so it's done, and that is probably the worst plastering job I've ever seen. Even though wetting the surface helped a bit, I had a ton of difficulty getting the mortar to stick to the wall. I also tried to build up the corners using this thing that I made, but the more I tried to do that, the more I was breaking off the plaster that I had already put in place. So I just decided I'm going to quit and leave it as is. I'm pretty sure that once everything is painted, you're probably not even going to notice it. So I don't really care. I'm not trying to pass myself off as a builder or anything. So I'm just going to call that good enough. For now, I'm just going to leave it to dry, clean up here a bit, and perhaps I'll go out this afternoon and get some paints along. Okay, so I've decided I'm not going to repaint everything. I'm just pretty much going to touch up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over the wall and clean it a bit, just so that I can get most of the dirt off and see where the spots are that I really need to touch up. So let's go. Well, I don't know how much of a difference that made, but at least it smells a whole lot cleaner now. So let's check back tomorrow and get some paint on here. Alright guys, that's about as far as I'm going to go for this episode. Everything didn't turn out exactly according to plan, but I did manage to get most of the stuff done that I wanted to get done. The paint does look a bit patchy, but at the end of the day this is a workshop. If this was my living room, I would most definitely have made a bit more effort. I was also hoping to get something sorted in terms of flooring for this section, but I may have to go and rob a bank before I can do that, as the budget flooring that I was looking to put in here turns out is not as budget as I remembered it. I was planning to use something like this, which is an offcut of the flooring that I put into the gym upstairs. But as I said, it costs a whole lot more than I remembered it. So that's something I'm going to have to look at a later stage. As for the next part of the series, that is most probably going to be a workbench for the bicycle section, as well as hanging storage for bicycles. Depending on how much work that turns out to be, I might split that into 2 episodes, but we'll see. So I guess I'll see you guys in the next episode. As always, thank you very much for watching. Till next time, keep making stuff.